Hey everyone, welcome back to The Underswell. I'm Derek Sabori, and I am so excited today to talk to you about the one thing your brand should do to be more sustainable. You ready? Let's dive in. So as you know, there is so much to consider when we're talking about sustainability in the apparel industry. And if you're looking at your brand and we're talking about sustainability, we have to look at it through every stage, every part of our supply chain from cradle to grave. That means from raw materials, extraction, processing, manufacturing, cutting, the mills, dyeing, processing, distribution, warehousing, retail, consumer use, end of life, everything in between. We've got to look at environmental and social impacts at every single stage. And that is a lot, and it can be overwhelming. So where to start? We can't do all of it all at once, right? If you want to really dive in and have a good understanding of what we mean when we're talking about sustainability, be sure to go over and visit the Sustainable Development Goals. There's a great initiative that you should know about to make sure that we really understand all the complexities, all the different things that we are trying to tackle when it comes to the environment and to people in order for us to kind of move forward in a world that is just fair, healthy, and prosperous for all of us. But that said, we're talking about your brand, and we're really looking for that one thing to make your brand more sustainable, right? Well, I'm gonna give you a little teaser because there are actually a couple things. One, we cannot tackle sustainability without having an understanding of our supply chain. We've got to know where our products are made, how they're made, who's making them, what they're using to make them, etc. So you have to start by untangling your supply chain. We're not going to get anywhere without doing that. That is traceability. You have to have a focus, you have to have a handle on, and really specifically have an understanding of traceability in your supply chains. So make sure you start there. That's actually part one, number one. First thing you got to do, understand your supply chain. The second thing, if we're talking about sustainability, we're also talking about climate crisis. And if we're talking about the climate crisis, that means greenhouse gas emissions, right? All of those heat trapping gases. You have to be talking about climate, you have to be talking about carbon and your footprint all throughout your value chain. That's scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. That means upstream emissions, downstream emissions, headquarters, products, raw material, all of it. You need to be accounting for it and reducing emissions all the way down, not just offsetting them, reducing emissions. That's its own thing. So we have to be focusing on traceability, and we have to be addressing carbon or greenhouse gases in our supply chain. Another thing, you've got to get buy-in from the top, right? Make sure you go watch my video about that very topic of how to get leadership to buy into your sustainability initiatives. But we can't get anywhere without buy-in from the top and support from the top. And the top means your leadership, right? Your CEO, your COO, your chief marketing officers, anybody that is involved in making decisions in the company, ideally the board. We want the board supporting what you're doing, and we really need leadership focusing on and supporting your team in this one thing that we need them to do to become more sustainable. So with that advice, make sure you're getting buy-in from the top. I call actually this approach the grilled cheese effect. I've got another video on that, and basically that means to me, getting buy-in from the top, that's the heat coming from the top down. And we also need heat coming from the top up, because otherwise we've got a half-baked sandwich, right? So we need heat from the top, heat from the bottom, melt the cheese. That's the grilled cheese approach. So get buy-in from the top. You got to start there. If I had to pick just one thing everybody's looking for, where should we start? What's the one thing we should do? And it's a simple one. We have to get your team to learn more. Everybody in the organization needs to learn more about sustainability, needs to learn more about net zero, the climate crisis, human rights issues, etc. And of course, while we're tackling all of that, we need to have a focus on human rights as well. Nobody in our supply chain should be suffering for the shirts or the pants or the hats or shoes that we are making, right? Nobody should be dying, nobody should be getting sick, and no kids should be working obviously in our supply chain, so put a priority on human rights. So I think all of these things go without saying. But if we had to narrow it down to just one thing, the one thing that I tell all of my brands, all of my clients, keep learning. Learn more about sustainability. Let me tell you why. You know that saying that exists where we can't improve what we don't measure? Well, it's the same thing on the sustainability side, right? We can't tackle what we don't know. And I would bet that there is a lot that we don't know about sustainability in your organization, and that's fair enough to say, and it's not your fault. When I came up through the organization, when I came up through my career and was as a vice president of global sustainability, I looked around and realized that I didn't know anything about this. I didn't learn it in my degrees. I didn't learn it when I went back for my master's degree. I didn't learn it in the 10 plus years that I had of experience at that time. And really, as I started to dive into industry reports and started reading things, I realized that there was a whole bunch of language, a whole bunch of concepts that I just really hadn't been exposed to. And I had to go down that rabbit hole and teach myself as much as I could to have the language, the foundational understanding of what any of this even meant. If I had to give you just one thing, it would be to keep learning. Get all of your team educated. Get the mass of the team at every level, because every position in the organization should be a sustainability position. So get everybody on board, get them keyed in on the basic concepts, the basic understanding of what the definition of sustainability is. What does circularity mean? What is recycled versus recyclable? What are hazardous chemicals, substances of concern, fair wages, living wages, all of that? What does it even mean? What are the SDGs? These are things that we just don't always know. So get your team on board, make sure they're learning all of that. Make sure there is access across the board for everybody. Even choose a specialized team. Get some ninjas in there that can go and learn even more and become the real super learners in your organization to help enforce all of that and really make sure that everybody is learning at the same pace. And again, get leadership on board. So it's not as easy as it sounds, right? You might ask yourself, well, where do I start? Find good mentors. Find good influencers to learn for. Not influencers, but influences, right? Go read everything that you can, watch everything that you can, anything that you can get your hand on, you have to go learn, go read, go watch my video on the 3 books that you need, or the 3 books that I make all of my sustainability students read. Those are 3 books that for sure will put you on a good learning journey. But there are a lot of resources online, and right now you're in a good place to hopefully start learning a bit more. Your sustainability journey is a learning journey. So like I said, read and watch everything you can get your hands on, talk to as many people as you can, go to webinars, go to conferences, soak it all up, become a sustainability expert, no matter what your position is. And something else that might help, go down below. I've got a link to a download that we put in here. It's the 35 things that you need to know on your pathway to becoming a sustainability expert in the apparel industry. I think it'll really help. Gives you 35 terms and phrases that you really should have a good understanding of on your way to becoming an expert. So start there, go get that download, hit the subscribe button, big red button right there, really helps, especially if you want to stay tuned and keep learning and get updates on new videos, new information that we're putting out there, because I'm on a journey to share everything that I learn. I want to share it with you. I want to make you more sustainable in your life. I want to make your brand more sustainable. I am of the belief that if I can change your thoughts, you can change your department. A department can change a brand can change an industry. Industries change the world. Hey, and by the way, if you like this video and you think it was valuable and you know somebody in your life that is learning more about sustainability or who's really passionate about this and they're in the apparel industry, do me a favor, share this video with them. I'd love it. I'd appreciate it. I want to get the word out there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one.